I'm sitting on a bouncy ball, so we'll see how well this works. Hi guys, my name is Shayla and I make these videos every Wednesday. I have been traveling full-time since 2015 and I make these videos every Wednesday to give you some information about how to travel or some tips or just tell you a story. This week we are in Minnesota. We are headed to New Zealand in 8 days, and to say that we're ready would not be true. We have no clue. We have not done much planning for this trip. That's kind of how we are. We like to kind of get somewhere and ask the bartenders for the suggestions, but what we do use is social media. So I want to explain to you how we plan our trips using social media. So I'm gonna go through Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube, and some other little tricks that I like to use. On Facebook, did you know that you can search, we're gonna use New Zealand because that's where we're headed. So you can search New Zealand in the little search bar in Facebook, and then it will show you all of your friends who have been to New Zealand, who live in New Zealand now, friends of friends who have been to New Zealand. Don't be afraid to message these people. Just say, hey, I saw that you've been to New Zealand, we're headed there, do you have any advice? 2 things about this. Thing number 1, if they don't message back, bye, who cares? Just send them a message and see what they have to say. Thing number 2, ask them, I will say this a million times in this video, but ask them a pointed question. Don't just say, what do I do in New Zealand? Say, hey, we're going to New Zealand, we're flying in and out of Auckland, we're gonna be there for 2 months, and we're looking to rent or buy a van. Do you know anything about this? Because if somebody asks me a question about, hey, I wanna go to Puerto Rico, what should I do there? I might spend an hour on an itinerary and they're like, yeah, well, I don't really like those things. Tell me what you want and I'll give you the information I have. Do you wanna go out? Do you wanna eat? What do you wanna do? This is super helpful and you'll get the answers that you're looking for. The second thing that you can do on Facebook is ask your people. I think asking your friends and people that you know, because you know, oh yeah, I travel like Bobby, don't really travel like Billy, not really gonna take his advice. So it's kind of a good, social media is a good way visually to see and more authentic and more personal. You can ask questions about it, but say, this is what I would ask. Who has been to New Zealand or knows someone who has? This way they'll tag somebody else that they know have been to New Zealand if they haven't. Looking to buy or rent a van and things to do, outdoorsy things to do. Put a picture of New Zealand or something just to get someone's attention. Usually you get a good response. They like to share what they've done. They like to give you information. They like to tell you about the trip they went on. The third thing, if you're a girl, there's a Facebook group called Girls Love Travel. I started following them before everyone else knew about them. I started at like 50,000 followers, so like only 50,000 people knew about it before me. Just kidding, but I really did start. I've been following this page when there's like 50,000, now there's like 300,000. In this group, you can either write your question, again with a photo and pointed questions, or you can search New Zealand and all the things that have ever been said about New Zealand will come up, and there's like specific subgroups to better connect you with people. Girls Love Travel is what it's called. It's a group full of girls that love travel. Moving on to Instagram. I keep looking over here because that's where my notes are. Instagram is probably the thing that we use the most. So this is what Seth and I use to go to Ireland. That you type in Ireland and then it shows you all of the Ireland accounts. Usually it's Explore Minnesota, Explore Ireland, Explore New Zealand. Sometimes it's not, whatever, it's a good place to start. But you can look up the big accounts that usually the tourism board runs that share other people's photos and start following them, looking for something that you want to go see. You can go on that account and find the epic waterfall or the really amazing view and figure out where that is and then go there. You can also look up hashtags of New Zealand and you get to see the photos. Now you can start following hashtags. There's lots on Instagram. And what Seth and I do is we send it to each other back and forth on Instagram, but we also have a shared notes on our iPhones, and then we'll put it in our shared notes. And then when we finally sit down and decide how to plan this trip out, I really want to do this, I kind of want to do this, but we'll put it on a map. Okay, here's New Zealand, the top island, the bottom island, and this is where this is, and this is where and maybe there's something up here that we need to go to and something down here that we don't need to go to. That's kind of, it goes Instagram, shared notes, map, and then we decide. When I lived in Puerto Rico, I would just follow the accounts, and on my day off, I would scroll through, find a picture that I loved, figured out where it was, and then it was like a scavenger hunt and I would go find it. Okay, so next is just Googling it. Top 10 things to do in New Zealand. When I do the top 10 things, I don't like the TripAdvisor things. I don't necessarily want to go hang out in a museum. I want to go on the local hike or the local bar or whatever. I don't necessarily want to do the things that you're supposed to do in the place, if that makes sense. Either blogs if you're at work and you can't listen to a video, or vlogs are always great because it gives you a lot of information and it's very visual. So the 2 unconventional things that I've done are thing number one, this was pre-Seth as a warning. I hopped on Tinder in Puerto Rico and it was the greatest thing ever because I got to practice the local language. I got to know people who knew everyone on the island and go to different things that I would have never been able to go to. I got to meet their friends and it was just a really cool way to get into the culture a little bit more. But be safe, always, you know what to do, but always meet in a public place. Always drive yourself there so that you can leave whenever you want. And if they're drinking and driving, you don't have to be part of that. But that's kind of a fun way to meet someone and kind of get in the culture a little bit. The other thing is geocaching. If you don't know what it is, it's like a scavenger hunt. It's an app that people place things, like sometimes there's a cabinet, sometimes there's a little pillbox, and it's just, you have to go find these things where they place them and then write your name on the sheet. But usually they're in pretty epic places. In Alaska, they were at this amazing view. They were placed there specifically because it was amazing. Geocaching is a fun, like off the beaten track sort of way to find really cool places in new places. And as far as where to stay, I love hostels. I think they're so great, especially when you're traveling alone or if you're traveling with two. It's like freshman year and everybody just wants to meet everybody. They want to know where you're from, tag along on your hike, go out with you. It's like, it's a great way to meet a group of people in another country and like have friends built in that you get to go explore with. And that's why I say to have loose plans so that if they're going and doing something, you could do the thing that you planned by yourself, or you could go with this group and do something that you've heard of that kind of sounds cool, or maybe that you haven't heard of, but you're gonna go because you like the people. For me, traveling is all about the people. There's also Airbnb, and Airbnb can be really cool to get into a local's home. They'll give you good local advice, and it's just, it's more authentic than a hotel. And a lot of times it's a lot cheaper. So I feel like that's kind of all the tips. I really hope this was helpful. I hope that you can implement some of these things into your next travels. If you guys have more suggestions of ways that you do it, I would love to hear them. Next Wednesday we'll be in San Francisco. We leave for San Francisco on Tuesday and New Zealand on Thursday. Ooh. I'll be choosing a Gregory Pack winner and that'll be a kind of a separate video tacked onto this. Alrighty, time to pick a winner and acknowledge this amazing face. I copied the URL into the YouTube random comment picker, paste, search. It looks up all the comments, and then it picks a winner. Woohoo! Jillian Robertson! She recently discovered my channel and all of the traveling tips I give. She's taking a year-long solo trip in the next 6 months, so the Zulu 65 would be awesome. Jillian Robertson, let me check your Sminstagram. You are the winner! And everybody who didn't win, I have a 15% discount code. GMP15, 15% off. So go ahead and get 15% off whichever Gregory you wanted. Thank you guys all so much, so much for entering. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I will see you all next week. Signing off from Minnesota. Mwah.